Yo, what is up guys? Ethan here back with another video, and today we return with college football predictions. As today we're going to be talking about the Fresno State Bulldogs. If you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. I would really appreciate it. This is our first group of 5 team, excluding independents, of course, with like Notre Dame, BYU, etc. This is the first group of 5 team we're going to be talking about in my predictions, and one of the 2 I currently have planned alongside with Houston. And Fresno State, if you told me, okay, of all teams in college football, what team are you just buying into? It would be Fresno State for me. For Power 5, it would probably be like a Miami or a Minnesota, Nebraska. But overall, Fresno State. Now, you look at the losses they had, and they really didn't even have any key losses. You had a few guys on the defense, and then of course you lost your head coach in Kalen DeBoer. He decided to leave Fresno State to become the head coach at Washington. Now, you may be asking, that's going to affect Fresno State so much this upcoming season because he was the main dude for the success last year. Oh no, I actually completely disagree with you. Fresno State brought in Jeff Tedford to be their head coach, and if you didn't know, that was the head coach Fresno State had before Kalen DeBoer actually became the head coach. Jeff Tedford was the one who taught Kalen DeBoer the Fresno State offense when Kalen DeBoer was the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach back around 2018. Jeff Tedford wasn't even fired. He had to retire due to medical health reasons. I think Fresno State's in a better situation because they have the guy who started everything under helm. And I think Fresno State is going to be really good because you have an experienced head coach. Jeff Tedford has coached players like Aaron Rodgers back in the early Cal days. This is a fantastic hire from Fresno State, and that's going to affect this offense in massive, massive ways. And this offense is by far the cream of the crop with this team. Jake Hayner returns as quarterback. He initially thought about the NFL draft, then he announced he was going to go in the transfer portal. Everyone thought he was going to go to Washington or back to Washington with DeBoer. He said no. He decided to come back to Fresno State, and I absolutely love that move. This offensive line to protect him is pretty good. It's probably upper edge in the Mountain West, but the weapons around Hayner are absolutely phenomenal. Jordan Mims was spectacular last season in this offense. And even though Ronnie Rivers, the running back, was quote-unquote the starter, Jordan Mims averaged more rushes on the ground and had an extra touchdown. And so the running situation is not going to really be bad. Malik Sherrod's probably going to be much improved for this upcoming season as well, behind Mims. But this wide receiver core, you have a two-headed monster of Jalen Cropper and Josh Kelly. Both of them were absolutely phenomenal this past season. And I really don't even have to go over anyone else because everyone else is just depth pieces. They're good, but Kelly and Cropper are way better than all of them. And they're going to be so good with the schedule Fresno State has. They're probably just going to be the priority in this offense. So Hayner, Mims, Cropper, Kelly, that's a four-headed monster that the majority of teams on Fresno State's schedule are not going to be able to stop, and that's going to be Fresno State's key point in this team. Now, as you look at the defense, you do have some key seniors returning. David Perales returns at defensive end. He was tied for team sacks last year. Overall, the defensive line is very experienced, so that D-line is going to be good. The linebacking core is really good as well. Lavelle Bailey returns for his senior year. The best player on the defense is probably Evan Williams at that free safety position. He returns for his senior year. Not only did he lead the team in interceptions, he surprisingly led the team in tackles. So this defense has some key guys. The secondary is a little iffy in my opinion outside of Evan Williams, but Elijah Gates is very experienced at that strong safety slot. Fresno State's offense has the talent. Their defense has the experience, and that's going to be huge for this upcoming season. And personally, that could be the offensive version of what Cincinnati was last season. And as we look into the schedule, they have some key games. So if they do go undefeated somehow, they could have a chance to make the college football playoff. And that's not even far-fetched in my opinion. The first game, we're not even going to waste your time. You will beat Cal Poly at home. Now, the second game is one of the key games to win on the schedule for Fresno State as you host Oregon State. Personally, I would have Fresno State in an upset if this was at Oregon State. Just being home at Fresno is just going to make it even more of a pick for me. Fresno State will beat the Beavers. This game's going to be close. The Oregon State was a really good team last year. They did lose a few defensive pieces. And overall, I think Fresno State would have been able to score on that Beavers defense anyway from last season. Fresno State wins at home. Now, the next game is by far the biggest game on the schedule, as you have to go down to LA and play USC. And I forgot to mention, Fresno State went down to LA at the Rose Bowl and defeated a really good UCLA team last year. They took it down to the wire last year at Oregon. So they have experience versus top tier teams on the Pacific Coast. And if you watch my USC prediction, I have USC winning this game. But like I mentioned, Fresno State's going to keep it close throughout the majority of the game. But I think come the fourth quarter, the talent of that USC offense is just going to prevail. I think Caleb Williams is just going to be able to find a way to win this game. And that's going to be Fresno State's first loss of the season. Then you have a very early bye week, and then you have to go to Uconn. You destroyed Uconn last year. Why would it be any different, even though this is at Connecticut? Fresno State's going to win this game. And then you have the second biggest game on the schedule right after going to Uconn, and that's at Boise State. And man, oh man, I had to think about this pick for so long. At Boise is always a tough place to play. Boise State has absolutely dominated the Mountain West for like what it seems like since they joined the conference. But personally, I think Fresno State's going to go in there. They have the coaching edge in this one, as the experience of Jeff Tedford is definitely going to outweigh the experience of Andy Avalos. And even though the talent's probably even, I'm going to give that edge to Fresno State. I think that offense is going to be able to score in this one. And even though this is going to be a very, very close game, and this is a rare case of a 50-50 game, I'm going to lean towards the away team. Fresno State's going to beat the Broncos, and then maybe this is even an upset, but Fresno State will go into Boise and defeat Boise State. Next game, you host San Jose State, and I think San Jose State is getting a little underappreciated in the Mountain West for this upcoming season, but I think Fresno State's talent outweighs the Spartans in this one. They'll win this homecoming game. Next game, you have to go to New Mexico. New Mexico is one of the worst Mountain West teams. You should handle the Lobos with absolutely ease. Fresno State will win that game. Next game, you probably have the second biggest conference game on the schedule as you host San Diego State. And I would have Fresno State winning this one even if Cameron Thomas was still at San Diego, or even if it was at San Diego State at the new Snapdragon Stadium. But this is at Fresno. San Diego's defense is going to be a tad worse. I'm questionable about that offense, even though you just got on that Virginia Tech quarterback transferring in. I think Fresno State, once again, is going to cruise through this conference. The Bulldogs win this game. Next game, you host Hawaii, and I really don't know how to feel about this Hawaii team for this upcoming year. They're going to be the middle of the pack for the Mountain West. Either way, it's going to be an easy home game for Fresno State, as they will win. And then you have a back-to-back road stretch versus both Nevada teams. First is a Friday night game at UNLV, and this is probably going to be tougher than at Nevada. I'll get to that in a second. I think this is going to be closer than what Vegas will probably think. Maybe the spread's even closer because this game is in Vegas. I don't even know, but I think UNLV is going to be able to contain them. How? I don't know, because UNLV is not very talented. I just think this is overall a trap game. I think Fresno State's going to struggle a little bit in this one, but eventually they will find their way. They will pick up the pace. The Bulldogs will win this game on the road. Next game, you're at Nevada, and Nevada took so many losses on this team. You lost your head coach in Jay Norvell. He left to an in-conference school at Colorado State just for some more money. Your starting quarterback in Carson Strong, who was absolutely great last year, he's now with the Philadelphia Eagles. Romeo Dobbs, your top-tier wide receiver, he's with the Green Bay Packers now. Nevada's offense is going to be just non-existent upcoming this season, and people are saying 6 wins. No, this Nevada team is not going to make a bowl game, in my opinion, and this is not even going to be a challenge for Fresno State, in my opinion. The Bulldogs will go up to Reno and defeat the Wolfpack. And to end your season, you have that Friday night game versus Wyoming, that day after Thanksgiving. And initially I thought this Wyoming team is going to be underrated in the Mountain West. But then I looked deeper and how many transfers they lost. And even though I'm a big fan of Titus Swen, he's not going to be able to carry this Wyoming team versus a stacked Fresno State team. Maybe Wyoming keeps it close in like the first quarter or maybe even the halftime, but Fresno State will eventually pull away and win this game at home. And I have Fresno State going 11-1 this upcoming season with their only loss in a close game at UNC. Well, USC, my bad. Sadly, I think that's the ceiling for this Fresno State team. Let's say you somehow, someway go into the Coliseum and defeat the Trojans. I think you slip up at Boise State if that's the case. And to be honest, the only 3 games I can see this Fresno State team legitimately losing is home versus Oregon State, at USC, and at Boise State. I would consider a home loss versus San Jose State or San Diego State if they're on the road. But since they're home, I think Fresno State should handle business at home. I'm just overall high on this Fresno State team. The ceiling of this team is 11-1. The floor for this team, in my opinion, is 9-3. What is your prediction for the Fresno State Bulldogs this upcoming season? Let me know in the comment section below. Like always, like, share, subscribe, push notifications so you don't miss any of my videos. Share this video so we can grow this Elk NCAA community. And like always, have a good day. Peace out.